Welcome back, South Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Mark Trible joined, as always, by Coach Tim McAneney. Coach, Week 5 is here, man.
It's crazy. We're just talking about it. It's not even October, and we've got some teams played 5 games already.
Yeah.
Weeks, like this is their 6th game with the week 0, so.
Yeah, and some teams have played like 3.
Yeah, right. I mean, so we have things, I mean, things are shaping up. We're starting to figure out who's who. Mm-hmm. But it's also a little bit of a cluster, too. I mean,
it is.
A lot of team beating this other team, and this team, a lot of parity, as we talked about prior to the show, and, a lot of teams, it's really hard to go undefeated.
It is. I've got to get some coffee to even go through all this, Mac.
Well, that's your thing, right?
That is my thing. So is South Jersey High School football.
Right.
There is a lot of action to catch up on. Derek, the first one in here, as always. Thank you so much, man. You are always the number one starter off the line. There is a lot to discuss. We mentioned that we're going back to what we did last week. Although thankfully Rod is back. Kamal did a great job in his absence, but Rod, we are glad you're back, buddy.
I'm happy to be back. I'll tell you that. I'm truly happy to be back.
Looking healthy.
Healthy-ish. I'm getting back there.
Rod shed a couple pounds. You were talking about this stretch fit being maybe not as stretchy as you thought it was. I hope nothing happens, Mac. But if it does, you can. It's contagious. There's a drop a couple.
There's a plus of being bedridden for 10 days, Rod.
That's right.
Thanks, Trim.
Yeah.
I aim to help. I aim to please. We are going to do things the way we did them last week, although Rod is here, but we're going to have 3 segments. We're going to continue with that. We have 2 breaks. The first segment, we're going to go through some of the action all the action from last week. The second segment, we're going to talk about some of our bigger games coming up. Our last segment, we will preview the TurnersvilleJeep.com Game of the Week, as well as give our newest version of the Best 11 rankings. So without further ado, Mac, let's race right through. This isn't quite the 2-minute drill, but it's something like that.
Let's 4-minute.
Yeah, 4-minute. Maybe 14. Thursday night, last Thursday, Pennsauken 63, Trenton 0, Karan Ali 2 rushing touchdowns. Khalil Ali 2 touchdowns. Pennsauken runs for 249 as a team and 8 touchdowns. They get a safety too. That's pretty good, Mac. That's 8 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, it's real good. Pennsauken High undefeated. A lot of good buzz down on 130 Hilton Road. I mean, or 73, excuse me, and it's good to see. As always, a fan of Pennsauken High.
Pennsauken is one of 8 teams in our traditional South Jersey area that's still unbeaten. We will talk about each of the 7 as I go through the scores here. Holy Cross on Friday, 36, Lindenwold 16. All these games were on Friday. Burlington Township, 21. Rancocas Valley, 14. Palmyra, behind Quinton Ives, 34. New Egypt, 12. Lower Cape May, one of those undefeateds, 47. Wildwood, 6. Cumberland and Bridgeton, this is a rivalry game. It was like that. 7-6, the Colts get it. Allentown beats Bordentown, 21-14. Congratulations to Middle Township coach Frank Rigitano, his 100th win as they beat Gateway 14-0. Seneca, another unbeaten, 28-7 over Heightstown. Fish has got it rolling down at the farm.
Yes, he does. And they open up new field.
Turf field, that's right. That was a Lenape district situation.
Yes,
so
long time coming. Seneca and Lenape both got turf, and Lenape, we're going to talk about it, Chris, this last weekend, and Seneca is going to get a shot on their new turf Friday night, I believe.
Yes. Bishop Eustace 23, Princeton 6. Highland 56, Absegami 0. Angelo Rodriguez 151 rush yards, 3 touchdowns. Jonathan Graham with a scoop and score. Steve Duncan, congratulations on your first win as head coach at Clearview. The win 32-25 over EHT. Cinnaminson, another one that's still undefeated. Coach Mario Patrizzi's team wins 27-23 in a rivalry game against Del Rand.
Oh, quiet Cinnaminson. Coach Patrizzi, right?
Yeah.
And undefeated?
Undefeated.
That's another team I'm always rooting for.
Yeah. You know who they're playing?
This week? Well, we don't want to give it away, do we?
Okay. Shalleck 56, Pennsville 21, Kenai Simmons 200 rush yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 golden fedora is second on the season. I love the golden fedora. We love being pandered to. Congratulations to the Arthur P. Shalleck Cougars. Paul to 6, 36, Clayton 0, 4 different rushers with the score for the Eagles. On Saturday, Maple Shade 20, Overbrook 14, Pittman 40, Riverside 14. Triton sneaks by Pemberton 27-26, Buna 22, Burlington City 12, Florence 14, Haddon Township 6, Cherry Hill East 32, West Windsor, Plainsboro South, University State Tech, 14.
How about Cherry East? They haven't been, I don't think, 3-0 since 2012. Yeah, Cohen at quarterback. I mean, they're
Are they undefeated?
I think they are.
I don't think they are, Mac.
3-1?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think they won 3 in a row.
Let's see.
Okay. I apologize. They're
Ben
doing well.
Cohen's doing well.
Yeah,
doing a good job over there. Cherry Hill East is 3-1. They lost the opener to Moorestown.
But they've won 3 in a row. First
Florence,
time.
Holy Cross,
I'm sorry.
West Windsor, Plainsboro.
I'm corrected. First time they've won 3 in a row. I think Minnick or Josh Friedman gave us that.
Gave you the info?
The nugget. Yeah, the 3 in a row.
Chris Baker, Tom Pagic in here. Faithful fans, guys, continue to comment. We have a lot of different schools represented in these comments section. I look back every week and think, wow, we've got this, and this. We talked about this Sunday on the Hats Off podcast as well. Well represented. Kevin Emmons does correct you, 3-1. Thank you, Kevin. Friday, let's look a little more in depth at some of these games. A big win on Friday for Holy Spirit St. Augustine. We thought this game would be pretty tight in the score, and 3 touchdowns is not Holy War-esque. Sean Burns, 22 of 25 through the air, 197 yards and a touchdown. Jasir Ward ran for touchdown. Jaden Lanos, again, great game for him with a receiving touchdown. Now, Will Morris, the voice of the Hermits, St. Augustine alum, continues to give his time to the athletic programs there, and another friend of the show says this is the first time those 3 parochial schools in Atlantic County have split the Holy War. Everybody won one. Spirit beat Prep, Prep beat St. Joe beat Spirit.
First time.
Yeah. I think in terms of this type of war, they call that the Trinity, don't they?
Well, there you go. That's hard to believe that that's the first time that's happened. Man, Burns, we saw him against the Cherokee. We saw him at Cherokee. I saw him live, and now 22 for 25. My son tells me the Roman kid had a couple catches in that process. Augie, as we said all year, a little bit on the young side, but Coach Lancetta, we'll talk about who they have this week too. So I'll be able to see them up close this weekend.
St. Joe beats Willingboro 14-7. This was a tight game. I know we talked about Willingboro getting a little bit. They were a little green behind the ears early on. They're getting better and better. They play St. Joe tight. Quietly, St. Joe is just, after that loss to Augie.
Yeah, they don't.
Jimmy Matuano,
they don't
6
lose
of 14, touchdown. Richard Chandler ran for a touchdown. Ty Mercado caught a touchdown, as St. Joe continues their winning ways. And speaking of that, a big one last weekend. I had some folks tell me they thought Hamilton was going to roll Mainland. Not so fast. Mainland, 29-14.
Big win.
Franchini at quarterback, the freshman, a rushing touchdown. He throws for 2. Jamie Tyson catches 100 yards worth of balls, 2 touchdowns. And Jabril Mace, the running back, the star running back who's going to Villanova, had 3 interceptions. Huge win.
Yeah,
for the Mustangs.
They got. I mean, I know a lot of eyes are on Mace down there, right? And and it's great to see he's also playing some defense. But when you have all eyes on one guy, and the Tyson kid from Franchini, I mean, that's you got to cover everybody, right? You can't just can't load the box too much. I mean, you got to stop Mace, because if you don't stop Mace, they'll just give it to Mace.
He's a freshman, Franchini.
Yeah,
but this is what I heard before the season when he took over as quarterback, when the quarterback that they thought would be there left. When he was in youth ball, I think he was 7 or 8 years old, an official told me, he came up to the line of scrimmage and he looked at the official and he said, "Are we good? Is everything? Are we okay?" And the official said, "Never seen that from a kid actually come up and say like, is everything good?"
Brady asked.
He's like,
like we could,
"Yeah, file that one away. You don't forget a kid that does that." And he's proven that he's playing a lot older than his years here as well. 29-14, huge win for the Mustangs.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Now, time for the knots of the week. We didn't have this last week, but we're going to see Atlantic City here. They beat Deptford 27-16. They have won the knot of the week because they had 3 of them in that game. First off, we have the opening kickoff, Alan Packard. This is in Deptford.
So these are knots.
These are knots, Mac.
Plural.
Well, if you get 3, I think you earn. And thank you, Coach Keenan Wright and Cole Waring, for sending this over.
So 3.
Here we go. This is Alan Packard. He's breaking through.
Where'd it go, Rod?
He is going.
Where'd he get it? Where'd he break it?
There he goes.
Right up the chute.
Alan Packard, but he comes out of kind of a, I don't know, I guess you call him a phalanx of Spartans. I don't think you call him a swarm. That's the first one.
Phalanx.
The second one is our buddy, Ice Cup, Sinai de Graffenrate. This guy is a threat anytime he catches the ball, and that's exactly what he does here. Let's see. Once Sinai gets in that open field, okay.
All right. Yeah, that's it.
That was close. I'm glad that guy left off and didn't quite clip him.
Yes.
He's to the house, right by the backhoe over there.
These are knots. We also like to see some dots, right?
Right. Well,
I heard some somewhere some defensive looks.
Yeah, this game's back and forth, and Mac Raul Cabrera finishes it off. Here we go. You can see clearly this is a little bit later in the game. We see some shadows out here from the lights.
DTS is...
no, I'm gone.
Huh.
You know what? That would have been the knot of the week if it weren't for the... Run that one back again, Rod. Number 23, Raul Cabrera, 35 yards to seal this one. The Vikings needed this after the loss to Mainland the week before.
Well, what was amazing is usually you get 3...
Gone.
You get 3 knots in a game, whether they're special teams or defense. Defense would be defensive score, defensive touchdowns, DTS or whatever. But you get 3 in a game, you typically don't just put up 27 points, right? I mean, 3 out of 4 touchdowns were not.
They didn't have the ball that much. I mean, two of the possessions never started. They took it to the house.
They didn't need it.
But the Graffenrate did catch a touchdown also from Boardwalk Joe Lyons.
Got the other touchdown.
Yeah.
The 4th one.
So far, Ice Cup this year, kickoff return for touchdown. The punt return we just saw, and he has 6 touchdown catches in 4 games. And a great kid to boot. So congratulations to Atlantic City for not only beating Deptford 27-16, but getting the knots of the week, all 3 of them. That is awesome. Oakcrest knocks Moorestown from the ranks of the unbeaten. Our guy Forrest, receiving touchdown, punt return touchdown. Aldrich Doe with the game-winning 2-point conversion run. Woodstown sneaks by Glassboro in overtime 22-16. James
Do we
Hill.
know if Oakcrest has a kicker, or did they just went for 2 to kind of end it? Do we know that? Someone in the comments might let us know.
I don't know if they have a kicker, but they kicked an extra point the first time.
Right, that's what I'm doing my math, yeah. So they were down 14-13, and they went for 2 and said, we're going to do it right here? Wow.
Well, our guy Danny should be in the comment. He should be watching. Right. There's no excuse for that if you're not Danny.
Because Aldrich Doe had the game-winning 2-point. Okay.
Yeah. Woodstown 22, Glassboro 16 in overtime. James Hill 117 rush yards, 1 touchdown. And he had a knot in a pick 6. Will Haynes hauled in a touchdown as well. Lenape Mac, you saw them open the turf, christened turf, I should say, down across the street from Johnson's Farm. 34-0 over Eastern. Zaire Fleming, you were so impressed you even called me on Saturday to tell me about him. 142 rush yards, 5 touchdowns.
He can't give some insight. Well, no, there's no secret. I like to pound the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
And this kid does give them options more to pound the ball. Physical runner. I was telling Rod before the show. He made one run. He was horizontal to the ground, driving the feet backwards, heels digging in, running with his butt to the ground. but it wasn't on the ground. He was picking up another 4 or 5. He's one of those kids. I was watching it with Wash, Coach Wash's kids at Purdue. Now he came back. We were watching the game together, and he's like, Mac, this kid just falls forward for those running backs that fall for 2-3 yards, which now again you put that guy in the backfield, and now the pass game gets a little cleaner. You put up 34 points, right? I mean, now the defense. They had short fields to start. The first 2 possessions, I think one was a 35-yard drive, one was a 45-yard drive. I mean, total offense, Lenape probably had a little under 300, but they didn't have to go very far.
Right.
Defense played well. They got points before half, which was huge on it, to make it 21-0. Look, Easter's not a bad football team either. They got some guys. It just a lot of emotion in that field, right? Opening night at the play, it was the stands, you couldn't get a seat. The student body was fantastic. So it was great to see Lenape open up the season at that new.
And I'm glad you got to be there because Shawnee played Saturday night, and
it worked out.
The atmosphere of football at Lenape. I know you'll say, I don't want to. This is not what I want to hear, but the atmosphere at Lenape, the football program, part of that's importance is due to what you built there, and everybody knows that. And so I'm glad you got to see the turf, the packed stands. If they had Zaire Fleming jerseys for sale there, Mac would have definitely bought a handful of them on the way out and given them to friends and family. You got a friend right here, Mr. Fleming.
Yes, absolutely. And a new scoreboard, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to someone said to me, like, his first game back, I think he had 32 touches, and they're like, would you think he had too many? I think too many. I would have given it to him 40 times. But again, they got a lot of other weapons too. The LeMay kid, and
I like LeMay a lot.
Yeah, absolutely explosive, and they got guys and best, and now that allows you have to, not that the running backs were young that were filling in for Fleming. They were younger kids.
Yeah, but like you said, this is a proven veteran running back.
Right. Yeah.
This is someone who coaches know about. Mm-hmm. So to get him back into the lineup, it's no disrespect to any other kid, like you said, but that guy is just a little bit different.
And it lifts the whole team, right?
Absolutely. It loosens up, or it tightens the box, so it loosens up some of the things that they want to do, with the pass game. We're going to talk about another kid too. I got to see 2 really good backs back. I mean, Friday, Saturday, the kid from Winslow, man, those 2 reminded me of each other. I was like seeing mirror images of kids. A kid from, Fleming, and then Peterson.
We're going to talk about Peterson and the job he did in Winslow's game here in a minute. But Zaire Fleming certainly is on the scene, and the Tribe, they're going to need to use him effectively on Friday night. We'll talk about that too. Washington Township beats Williamstown 27-6. Giuliano Scavetta, 139 rush yards and 1 rushing touchdown behind that big line led by John Stone, Rutgers commit. Jared Dzergowski ran for $107, 2 touchdowns. Logan Perez also punched one in on the ground as the Minutemen win by 3 touchdowns. Haddonfield and Woodbury, this was a showdown we talked about last week. One of the most hyped matchups. Woodbury was on a roll. Haddonfield's been on a roll. Declan McCarthy did what he needed to do. 3 passing touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. Of course, a Klaus got in the end zone. Charlie did it not once, but twice with receptions. Chris Clax, who is a very, very underrated player on the defensive line. He might be the best defensive player on Haddonfield. He's everywhere, high motor, really, really good up front. He also caught a touchdown. Haddonfield, 28-6.
This one was, not surprised at the win. I'm surprised at the dominance, right? I mean, but you look at it, and Frankie and his guys, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be, right? They're you give them the time to prepare for a squad, and, especially with the weapons they got with McCarthy at quarterback. I mean, very, 7 for 12, like you said, 3 touchdown passes, very efficient. Haddonfield's going to take what you give them, and they're going to exploit you if you give them opportunities.
Yeah, I like McCarthy a lot. We've spoken about how familiar he is with that offense. He's been involved with it since he was just a wee lad. His father was an offensive line coach at the school for a bit. So, that familiarity, he makes it look easy, and that's because it is coming easy to him. He waited his turn last year, and now it's paying off. The Haddons beat Woodbury 28-6. And Kevin was there. He says, McCarthy was involved in 4 touchdowns. He was also blitzing every down on defense. And Derek does say the score was maybe not indicative of how close the game was, but, it is what it is. Both those teams have some tests coming up here in the future. Timber Creek remains unbeaten. We talked about unbeaten teams. Haddonfield's one of them. Timber Creek is another one of them. 23-0 over Cherry Hill West in Coach Wright's return to Chapel Ave for the first time. Victor Okendo threw for 138 yards and a touchdown. Zaheem Coleman-Frazier caught the touchdown. Isaiah Clay fumble return for touchdown. A knot, and Brahim Wynn with 2 sacks. Saturday, Mac, Paulsboro. They were on the opposite end of being undefeated. They were winless. We said Coach Harvey is going to find guys who are willing to play the way Paulsboro expects to play.
Right.
And in a short week after losing to Woodbury, not a short week, it was a regular off day.
Yeah,
Saturday to Saturday. He found a way, 32-28 over West Defford.
Not this. I don't think this was an X and O thing. This was you right. You got to play Paulsboro football, or hand in the helmet, because getting this late in the season without them having a win yet. Plus against West Defford, no love lost against those 2 teams. Now West Defford's going to have to do a little soul searching themselves to get themselves back on it. But good game by Paulsboro, taking care of what they needed to do.
Yeah, Rocco Pellegrini with the last-second touchdown pass and went in the last minute. They drove 58 yards. He hit Bagby on 4th down. Definitely a big-time win for Paulsboro, 32-28. Salem beats Cedar Creek 26-20 down on Walnut Street. Ja'Kai Coates, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns passing. He ran for 1. Anthony Selby and Zaheem Jones each caught one of those touchdowns. And Abdul Bell, kick return for 6. Haddon Heights, 26. Penns Grove, 3. Arian Bunch, 3 rushing touchdowns. Matt Ivar caught one. It's a huge win for Heights. One of the biggest wins I can remember for Heights here recently. To go down there and handle Penns Grove the way they did, win by 23, is a big deal. So, let's talk about Saturday night, Mac, right now. Winslow 21, Shawnee 14. Really weird game. A lot of penalties. Game management stuff. We're gonna touch on that here in a bit. But a good game. Jameel Peterson, 2 touchdown runs. He's been phenomenal this season, and I've seen all of Winslow's games. He's been great in all of them. They get the win. Obviously, Joe Papa gets hurt.
Right.
Last drive, Ethan Krause comes in, has to do everything. We touched on this in detail on Sunday's show, but he really...
Look, this was Superman versus Batman. Because...
And Ethan Krause was kind of like...
He was doing everything. He had the long kickoff return, he had the interception, he had the catch. So he goes in and plays quarterback, right? And he's picking up chunks of yardage after Papa gets hurt. And they got a 4th and 20.
Here comes Connors.
Connors comes in, who's also played quarterback throughout his career, and throws everybody in the house knows. Let's face it, where's it going? Ethan Krause double covered right on their own sideline, makes an unbelievable catch.
Yes,
and
he did.
Gets him inside the 20, and then 2 or 3 plays later, they get down to the 2, and these end of game scenarios we talked about it. When you got your backup quarterback in too, it gets frantic.
It gets frantic, and I think the 1st and goal was at the 8.
1st and goal was at the 8, yes.
So I can't remember exactly what the yardage was before that, but things are frantic, and you get there, and that's not the same as 1st and goal at the 5, where you think, okay, we know we're 1st and goal.
Right.
It's easy if you're not the quarterback and you have 40 seconds and you're rushing plays in, then you're calling a timeout and you're trying to
Look,
it's high school football, but
it's not funny, but when you talk to guys who've had to call high school games, it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in calling plays. Because You know, I always tell the people, look, when you go to a college game, you got four quarterbacks on the sidelines with GPAs out the ying that are just signaling stuff, that are spending hours upon hours knowing the system. Mm-hmm. In the pros, they got an earpiece in their ear. I mean, we literally would have 3 different ways to get in place. Like we would have we'd have a wristband on our script that we decided on throughout the week how we wanted to script our first X amount of plays. We had signals going in sometimes with formationally and signals on another wristband, and then we had calls from the sideline, verbally calling calls from the sidelines, not just in 2-minute situations.
Well, hold that thought, Mac. I want to come back to that on the soapbox, and that's a little bit of a teaser of what we're going to talk about when we get to the end of the second segment here. But that was certainly, there was a lot to be desired in not just in that game, but a lot of the games I've seen this year in that sense. First, let's look back at Friday's game of the week. I'm sorry, at TurnersvilleJeep.com. Hey, Dwayne, good to see you in here. Kingsway hosts Delsey. They lose 26-21. Shoppy, again, 3 touchdowns. The Crusaders remaining unbeaten. Coach Marquez very unhappy with the way the team performed. The players very unhappy with the way the team performed. Certainly don't want to take anything away from Kingsway. They made that very clear. But this was not Delsey at its highest level. They found themselves in a little bit of a street fight, put it away late. Mac, you've talked about I would rather win ugly than lose pretty, and that's what Delsey did.
Well, against a good opponent. This wasn't they weren't playing. I mean, Kingsway's arguably one of the top preseason, top 4 or 5 teams we talked about. I think they're going to hit their stride. I think they're going to figure some things out, but Delsey has a different standard of how they're playing football down there. And Coach Marchese's not happy when it doesn't. I mean, I don't think he cares about what the difference in the point totals was or is. It's about execution and doing, as they'll call it, Delsey football down there.
This area, the people in this area for the last 3 weeks have seen the Eagles win, and they've heard the quarterback talk about not good enough, even if he's playing better than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. That's kind of the sense you got from Delsey. We won, okay, not good enough. We want to win a championship. We believe in being much better than this to reach our full potential, not the full potential of wins and losses in this game.
Look, there's
a similar sense, right?
Yeah, there's a balance there too. I mean, these. I love Sal and he does a great job, but the kids work hard. I mean, they
do. But to a man, the kids told the reporters, myself included, maybe they didn't work as hard as they should have that week. So they do work hard, but they said,
hey, Sal's done a great.
Coach is right. We probably need to get back in there.
They drink the red juice down there. Sal's done a great job with the red Kool-Aid. That's for sure. They're not going to be like, oh.
Well, that's the other thing, Mac. You win a game, and your kids are saying that. You've got the message through, and that's a good situation for a coach, right?
Listen, when hospital's out down there, Underwood, when you're born at Virtua down in Franklinville, you're given a red blanket and a little mini football, and that's the deal.
That's right. So that was the game of the week last week. Entertaining game. We're going to go through some of our major matchups coming up this week, and we're going to visit Mac's Soapbox again. We're going to do that right after the break, so hang with us, share the show out. We appreciate your viewership. Be right back.
The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road. Mall Chevy is South Jersey's largest Chevy dealer and has been a big part in helping our community grow. They're proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Mall Chevy is our area's go-to dealership with the largest selection of brand new Chevys and a huge inventory of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. They're located on Haddonfield Road across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or visit them at mallchevy.com. A special thank you to Dave O'Sullivan of South Jersey Glory Days, sjglorydays.com. South Jersey Glory Days brings us a platform that we've been on here for the last couple of years. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show would not be possible without them. Visit Sully's website, sjglorydays.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Located on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, it's been a big part in helping the community grow. Proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Tremendous selection of brand new cars and pre-owned vehicles. An award-winning service department. A presenting sponsor of the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. The show is also sponsored by Jersey Gridiron Scout. Coach Tom Pagic is Jersey Gridiron Scout, the premier recruiting service platform for all middle school and high school prospects in the tri-state area when it comes to football. Jersey Gridiron Scout does 3 things for football prospects. 1, they have a senior showcase in December and an underclassmen showcase in May for high school prospects to be evaluated in front of more than 50 colleges. 2, they have off-season winter indoor position trainings for youth, high school, and college prospects from January to June at the Fieldhouse in Moorestown. And 3, they educate families on the college football recruiting process and timeline. Check out Tom's website at jerseygridironscout.com for more information. Follow him on Instagram at jerseygridironscout and on Twitter at Coach Pagic. That's at Coach Pajic. South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Jeep on Route 70, home of the real zero down deal. For over 50 years, Cherry Hill Jeep's been a big part in helping the community grow, and they remain proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football.
We are back with the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Preview time, Mac. Preview time. Major matchups this week. Let's start off with a rivalry down in Black Horse Pike School District. Timber Creek at Highland. Timber Creek is unbeaten. The Tartans have bounced back after a rough start. Seem to be finding some things. Not a lot of love lost between these two programs, Mac. 6 p.m.
Interdistrict, Creek going to keep undefeated. They're
Key in this one.
big foes.
Key in this one, the way Creek's able to stop the run with 4. Angelo Rodriguez. You look at Connor Leary, it's a big spot for the young guy. Creek, I think, is going to come in and play the same way they've been playing, try to get Coleman Frazier some of those big hit plays, Nazir Reason-Dallas, same deal. Highland, how do you take the pressure off the run game but still stick with it? That's an interesting piece, right?
Well,
Balance.
they'll play action.
Yeah.
Show it. And
you can't have that team pin their ears back, on
No.
3rd and long.
And you can't run. You can't.
Raheem Wynn will get there in a hurry.
And you can't run play action on 3rd and long either.
Right.
I mean, this is the hard part about being a. I was a run guy first, and
You were?
You know what, Rod? Did you notice a theme on every team that's won? They have a back that rushes for 130 yards.
Right.
Every team that wins has a back that rushes for 130 yards. Right? So here's the thing: you used to have to make yourself, or your staff would say, "Look, we got to be throwing on off downs, pitch backwards. We've talked about it.
Yep.
You got to throw on first down. You got to throw on first down. Now, you don't want to do it all the time. If you got a back, then get you 6 or 7. But we used to say, get on the good, get yourself out of the shadow of the goalpost. You get yourself on a 35 and 40, and your running game's going well. Line up in a run look, and throw the ball.
Once you get to a point where you can get to a 2nd and 6, or 2nd and 7, 2nd and 4, 7 and 4, right? In between these areas, you could pass or run on 2nd down.
Right.
And the defense has to account for both. Running on first down, if you're successful, if you're pounding a team, that's great.
Well,
if you're not, if you're getting 0 or 1,
Yeah.
you're in 2nd and 9, and you're passing, and they know it.
Well,
if you're in 3rd and 9, you're passing, and they know it. And the next thing you know, you're not converting.
Well, we're talking like. I mean, look, if you're not getting anything on first down running the ball, you're probably a little bit overmatched. We're talking in that, that difference between getting 4 yards on that run or 6 yards on a run. That's huge. Being 2nd and 4, look, 2nd and 4, guys sit there and go, I can run a ball 2 more times and get a first down, right? So that second and medium, or the 3rd, you get yourself in that world, and you gotta. That's why I like throwing on first down. Even though
I do too.
you throw them first down.
I really do.
And then something, you don't have to, maybe not a shot play, but you're going to, a flood.
Well, shot plays put you in a bad spot too because
you don't want to take the sack.
There's not a high completion percentage.
No.
And if it's incomplete, you're 2nd and 10.
Yeah. I mean, you can get multiple guys in routes. I mean, the flood, some sort of, in the spread, some sort of crossings, simple stuff, sticks. I mean, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to throw, all flies.
Right. Well, that's an interesting dynamic because that Timber Creek front is so strong. That's at 6 p.m., big rivalry game. Clayton at Glassboro, 6 p.m. on Friday. Timmy Breaker will go into the Glassboro Hall of Fame. The Bulldogs are showing life, stuck with Woodstown last year, forced overtime against them. We did a poll for where I would go Friday night. This game finished second. We'll talk about the game that finished first here in a minute. St. Augustine at Shawnee. Shawnee's lost 2 in a row. St. Augustine's lost 3 in a row. Kevin Emmons in the chat here said how long it's been since the Hermits have lost 3 in a row. It's been a while. 6 p.m., somebody has to get right. Somebody will get right.
Well, they're both playing. I mean, this is like, we jokingly said, this is like the SEC, right? I mean, all these teams are playing good teams every week. I mean.
But I think if you're Shawnee, Mac, you lost to Cherokee by a touchdown.
And you lost to Winslow by a touchdown.
And you lost to Winslow by a touchdown when the game ends on the 6-yard line with your backup quarterback, or not even a quarterback, your versatility player. That you've got something to move. The Hermits lost by 21 to their rival, and
right. So I mean,
they really need to get right.
Right. Are you going to see some changes coming out in Augies in what they put on, how they do things? Like there's I've known
both teams need to come out here with a win.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I would guess, and this is nothing against Shawnee, but I've seen the way they've played here. That Hermits team is going to be mad. I don't know if Shawnee's how mad they're going to be about the way things.
Well, I don't know. You flip it, like
think so?
Yeah, well, because you've had 2 games that were winnable.
Right.
Like you lost your crosstown rival on a winnable football game, where if you take out 1 or 2 plays that Birdie makes, and then you look at the game against, like, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was a Shawnee football player right now. I mean, excuse the French.
You live with one,
well,
so he better be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I mean they're and again, it's just the next team up, and they gotta figure it out and strap it on and get together. But you're right, Augie's got to right their ship as well. It's gonna be another good one. It's gonna be probably another 1-score game.
Yeah. One to watch there. Millville in that division goes to Lenape. Fleming, we talked about what he's been able to do, what he did last week for the Tribe. We talked about the new turf down at Lenape. They couldn't play Millville before the turf went in.
Well, they can grow it. There's a button, you can push it. Now it goes back to the old length when Millville comes in town. Look, it's hey.
Can you put water on the turf?
Oh, we would. Yeah. When I was at Eustis, we
hose it down.
We would hose that thing down, and maybe pray for some cold weather. Maybe it iced up on that river. But look, Lenape's got some guys too that can fly and get after it. I think Millville's a little thicker up front. I mean, they got a little more size, but again, now that you got when you got a defense that's going to line up in the right spots and can make some tackles, and you got running game, you're in a game.
Yeah,
you're in a game. So it'll be interesting. I think Lenape, if you're looking at this one, I think Lenape has. I think on paper, Millville's the better team.
I would agree.
It's not a short ride from Millville to Lenape. I think you gotta weather that storm. I think the longer the game goes, the more it plays into the comfort zone of Lenape.
Millville coming off a week off.
That's another thing. I hated the bye.
Camden, that game's at 7 p.m. at Lenape. Camden East Side at Willingboro, 7 p.m. These two squads have had some pretty epic battles in the past. Coach Everett has had the upper hand over the orange and black. He seems to find a way against the Tigers. But Eastside needs that first win because in order to be playoff eligible, you have to have one, and right now they have 0. They were off last week as well. We mentioned on the show Sunday in the Hats Off podcast the spot Winslow was in last weekend.
Right.
And Eastside is in that spot now. You got to get that win. And if you don't have a week 0 game and you keep your bye, suddenly you're looking at it, moving pieces, desperation time. So Eastside's got to get it.
Yeah, Winslow was coming off some close games. Eastside's had some games where they haven't been as competitive as they thought they should be, might be. But there's also, I think, we're going to see a little bit of change in some personnel, and I think, we'll see.
Our guy Thomas, give us a 60-second answer here to Thomas. He wants to know what you think about a 2-quarterback system.
Well, in the upper levels, if you have 2, you have none, right? But I think in the high school world, it can work a little bit. I mean, because you might have a guy who's a pure thrower, and then you got that kid like the Saints guy when the Taysom Hill type kid. I mean, if they're 2 of the same, and you're just trying to be nice to a senior or junior or try, throw bones, I don't think it works. But if you can wildcat one who can throw a little bit, I don't hate it.
Okay. Lower Cape May at Middle Township. We talked about the Caper Tigers being one of the 8 unbeatens left in South Jersey. Middle is 2-2, and they have won the last 4 matchups between these two. This is the Anchor Bowl. That is at 6 p.m. Hamilton at 6:30 is kicking off at RV. Another one where teams are kind of licking wounds. Hamilton had that tight win against Eastern. You didn't know how they'd bounce back against Mainland. They went to Mainland. They lost by a couple touchdowns. And RV lost to Timber Creek. They started out undefeated. And last week, Burlington Township got the upper hand on them. So, again, both teams looking to not spiral and to get on the right foot. Haddonfield at West Deptford at 7. This has always been kind of the rivalry in this area in Group 2. And even last year when the Eagles went 3-7 and Haddonfield ended up winning the championship, it was a 4-point game. West Deptford should be mighty desperate, and Haddonfield has a pretty big game next week. I don't know if anybody's heard, but they have a pretty big game next week against Camden High. They had a big game last week against Woodbury. If anybody will have his guys ready and not looking past anybody, it's Frank Delano. But West Deptford falls smack in between those 2 games, so this is a trying stretch for Haddonfield.
Yeah, well, I know Coach Delano and his staff are talking about it, but they're still talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old kids who know they just played Woodbury the week before. They know they have Camden High the week after. They're looking at West Deptford, who had some troubles with Paulsboro. They're, we can say until we're blue in the faces, hey guys, this, like these two don't get together on Thanksgiving Day. I don't think this is not they don't have dessert together. These two.
Seen some excellent battles between these two over the years.
Sure, absolutely.
The games just always find themselves to be fairly close. We talked about the poll. I looked around Friday night and I said, what game am I going to head to? There were a couple options, but I thought this might be the week with all the big matchups we got coming down the stretch where we can pick some teams I've never seen before and open things up to the fans to pick from. And that's what we did. I put 4 games on the docket. We had the Anchor Bowl, Lower Cape May, Middle Township, Clayton and Glassboro, Pemberton and Maple Shade, or Paul VI hosting Moorestown. We put it to a vote, had almost 2,000 votes, and 49.7% of them were the Eagles, Paul VI hosting Moorestown. So thank you for voting.
Half the votes out of 2,000?
Yeah.
To this game?
Yeah.
They must have been passing around in study hall.
Yeah.
Good for them. That's cool. That's cool. You've never seen either one?
I've never covered a football game between these two teams. I've covered a game at Moorestown, was Willingboro and Cinnaminson due to the rain. It was, I think, Willingboro's senior night. It was a really good game. And I have not covered Paul VI.
You haven't covered Paul VI?
No, because
Irvin Charles, not those
when
days either?
when they had it really rolling with Coach Doherty,
Right.
I was getting kind of not the
best
prime
games.
time games. There
Okay.
were a couple guys
He was the
upper on the ladder than
he was second.
Yeah. No, I wasn't even second. I was
Hello,
Chamber.
hello,
I was Chamber.
He was 856-486-2424. Hello,
Yeah.
Carrier Post.
Yeah, that's
Hello,
right.
Carrier Post.
Wow, that is surprising with some of the guys that they've
They've had
they
some
had
really
come
good
out
teams.
of Paul Six area, you know.
Yeah, and they've had some great players. But like when Lonnie was a senior,
Yeah, Lonnie.
I was third on the board there, and
You get to see Coach Scuderi and his boys, and they're
Grimes was probably a little bit before you came in, right? Jonathan Grimes.
Yep.
Those were some teams.
now you're throwing out some.
Yeah, I know.
we're guaranteed a first-time hat winner here, Morristown or Paul VI, and we would
sir.
have been in these other schools. I thought it was. Congratulations. Specifically, Paul VI lifted the vote, and they did a great job. They're very excited. Morristown's only lost once, and I think Paul VI is the same way. They've only lost once, and they lost to Seneca. Tom Pagic, our buddy, who does Jersey Gridiron Scout, he went to Paul VI, so he has the breakdown here. He says, here's the guys to watch. Quarterback Dom Santiago, 6'5", 215 pounds, junior. Plays defensive end as well. Big and strong, accurate passer, can throw the deep ball well. Against Highland, 31-30, they beat them. He went 12-17 for 232 and 2 touchdowns and had 6 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown in that game, which was a tough one. Productive at the defensive end position as well. And Mo Keshin, the third, 6'2", 220-pound sophomore, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, number 52. Plays multiple positions for them. Attacking type of player that plays physical and has a high motor. Does a great job.
Young dudes.
The line of scrimmage could have double-digit tackles on Friday night. That's what Coach Pagic says. One of the best younger defensive players in South Jersey. And save the date for Coach Pagic's Jersey Juice Uncommitted Senior Showcase, Monday, December 5th at the Fieldhouse in Morristown. Registration will open soon, so be sure to check that out and see what's going on with Coach Pagic and company. For Morristown, I want to see John Zolman at quarterbacks played really well, Andrew Curry at running back as well. I'm excited to be at Paul VI Friday night. First time for everything.
You'll keep me up to date. We'll be like,
Yeah.
Great event, man. Great venue. I believe they just got new turf.
yeah.
So you'll be on the new turf there, too.
It's exciting. I like that, and we talked about this last year, I think, seeing Gloucester when we did that game, remember in the playoffs?
Gloucester City, yeah.
It doesn't always lend itself to seeing some of these games, but this week it definitely did. That is not our game of the week, though. Our game of the week is Saturday. Here's some other games Saturday, then we will touch on our game of the week in the final segment. Real quick, St. Joe at Cedar Creek at noon. Don't look now. The Cats are taking care of business as usual. Cedar Creek kind of needs that signature win, right? They beat Eastside a couple of weeks ago, 7-6, but they lost Ocean City at home. They lost to Edison. They lost in a tighter, they hung right with Salem last week and lost. So they need that signature win. This would definitely be that.
Well, when you're young, sometimes you have to learn how to win, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You got a one position. You got to get over the snide, get over the hump, as they say. Because it's hard to win, right? It is hard. It's hard to win. I mean, especially in these evenly matched, talently matched. I mean, you got to be willing to. This cliche, 48 minutes, a whole bit, right?
And how about this? That's what Cedar Creek needs. That's what Cedar Creek needs.
What's he laughing at me for?
Who knows? Camden at Haddon Heights at 2:30. This is not a far road trip for the High. They were off last week as well, and the Haddons are on the docket next week for the Panthers. We talked about that. But Heights is improving steadily, right, through the season. They were throttled by Woodstown in the beginning, and now, that big win at Pennsgrove. So Heights hosting Camden High. That'll be an interesting game. Ocean City at Winslow, 7 p.m. Saturday night. Ocean City also had the week off last week. Winslow finally got its big win. 2 Group 4 teams jockeying for position. Now, Mac, speaking of Winslow, and we talked about this, my beef, and I'm kind of introducing it to your soapbox. So I'm going to be the opening. I'm going to give the toast that starts this thing out.
So I had a separate topic for my soapbox, but he's now commandeering my segment, right?
Well, what was your topic?
Well, you were saying how I'm negative on my soapbox. I was going to be positive about. I can be positive. Here, I'll be short positive.
Short positive, and then let's
we
hammer it home.
and
with
we'll
some-
hammer home with some
Hammer it
positive.
home with some negative.
Rod, how great's high school football, right? I'm at Lenape, right? I mean, you walk out there, right? Lenape's not the only school that does this. You got drum lines walking out the kids. I know Seneca does it.
Talked about this with Kingsway.
Kingsway brings out the drum lines. Seneca does it on Fridays where the kids, coming into school. I know there's a ton of, the way Salem comes in with their fire trucks. There's so many traditions in South Jersey with the way teams and communities get ready to play.
Yep.
And if you look, what's really cool coaching at Lenape, when you come in from the locker room, you are looking at your home stand. So the home team is on the other side.
Yeah.
So you run on the field looking at your bleachers, which are absolutely bonkers. And they were bonkers this weekend, right? New field, standing room only type thing. The kids are doing that. This week was a blackout. The kids, and I'm just, Shawnee does it. Cherokee does it. I remember watching Shawnee Cherokee, and I was like, oh my gosh, how many Cherokee fans, students, are at the game? And how great is it? Seeing the band, seeing the cheerleaders. You know what tipped me off? Jason Hicks, when I was at the gym tonight, started sending me pictures from 82, 83. I'm seeing Davey Griggs and Greg Mark. I'm seeing Sean Arline blocking his butt off in the Deptford game, which he ends up scoring the winning touchdown. I'm like, there's pictures of me of like 9, 10, 11 years old. It's like, man, how great is the environment of high school football in Jersey and the schools that get it. Now look, everybody knows where the ones I go to, where I grew up. I grew up in Pennsauken, watching Pennsauken games. I grew up and then coaching at Lenape, coaching at Eustis, watching Shawnee games now. I've been fortunate that, man, the environments of these schools and the communities they bring to the games. I mean, I know Williamstown does it. I mean, we can, Florence. I mean, Haddonfield, my gosh. I'm going to miss somebody, I know, because I haven't gone to every game in South Jersey. But the principals, superintendents, if you're not stoking this fire on Friday nights or Saturday afternoons at your school,
you're missing out.
You're missing out.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing community, kids hanging out, having fun, supporting their classmates, teammates. Like sometimes I don't even know if the students know what the score is, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
They're just, everybody's there to have a good time on a Friday night. Not everybody. Sometimes you get some cranky parents, but it's such a cool environment. Win or lose, the kids playing. Like watching Ethan Krause, right? He lost. They lost. He didn't lose. They lost. Like watching kids like that just play their guts out. Like when you watch things like that, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it happens every week.
Yeah. I mean, you're on that. We saw it at Kingsway.
Yeah.
But like you're talking, it takes me back to my childhood. Back in 88, 89, when Arthur Bussey and, Reggie Lawrence and those guys were playing. But the way to get to the game, you had to walk up the street with the football team and the band playing. So that was the tradition that you're speaking to. And that is what we talk about some of the teams that are doing it right, like the Kingsway. We go there, they have the band playing, they have the big flags. It's just a great atmosphere. Anybody, like you said, anybody that doesn't really capitalize on that in South Jersey is really missing out. Yeah, cool environment.
Right, and look, it's a tip of the iceberg type stuff. Like if you're a team that's not in the weight room or not working hard and not practicing hard, but you want to throw a drum line in front of your team walking out, okay. But if you're doing all the other stuff, right? Like I got a chance to be I was in the locker room before Lenape went on the field because it was on Friday night, and I wasn't in the locker, but I was with the coaches, and that energy that it was palpable. You could feel it. Like the kids, they turn. And we used to say they turn that corner and they look at that, that packed house in there. That's exciting. And you're running through the cheerleaders. It was senior night. Again, and Shawnee does the same thing. Cherokee to bowl. My goodness. I mean, we could mention. Just places. I mean, I love going there, not always to play them, but man, when you got a chance to play Cherokee at
the bowl,
it's a fun time.
It's a great atmosphere is what makes this important, right? I mean, if there was nobody at the games, then we wouldn't want to go to the games.
Exactly.
And the kids wouldn't want to play in front of nobody. And that's what I know things have changed a lot out of COVID, but there is no kid in America that's saying, I want to play football so that people can watch the game at home on streams.
Right.
I mean, it's just, again, Rod, you deliver the game. We deliver the game so everybody could see it. There's people in the stands watching games all over. I love that aspect of it. But if you are in a community and supporting a team, go to the games.
If you're in the town.
Your $3 for a ticket goes to a booster club that's going to help kids get new jerseys or whatever. You know, I mean, it is going to push forward.
And when you go down,
it's a big deal.
Like, yeah, when you go down to like a Paulsboro game and you see a jacket from 1985.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's,
Right.
And, you know, like I said, Jason sent me some pictures today, Jason Hicks. I mean, Jason.
And we saw Sean Arline, number 22 from Red for Pennsauken against Deptford. 8-0.
Jason and Ivan's and Dwight's mom babysat me. Like, you talk about community? Like I'm looking at pictures of stuff that you're like, oh my goodness, this a time. Now look, it was dear to me because it was at that age, right? That formative age. But you see kids running around. I love it when they're playing touch football or tackle, whatever they're playing. Behind the stands with a kickback light. Hopefully ADs throw a kickback light back there so the kids can, and not be like, get off my lawn, AD. Be like, yo, throw them another football. Give them something, right? Have them, when you see the kids running around with their jerseys on, that's good stuff.
Well, and that is the positive, and even though, you hate to bring it up, but we talked about it Sunday. What happened at Collingswood last weekend? What happened at Pennsauken last year? Where games have to stop because it's not always great on campus, or somebody comes up there and does something stupid. So please don't, because it's important. The soapbox issue was going to be the play. Let me just sum this up really quick.
Sorry, I threw a loop.
We'll talk about it later.
I was too positive.
We'll talk about it later because
Mark said enough of this.
He's like enough of this positivity.
We'll talk about this later. We'll talk about this later. And I appreciate you bringing something positive because I said last week it doesn't have to be negative. So thank you. We'll talk about this more as the season wears on. If the beginning of the season is any indication, Rod, we've had delay of games and poor game management and play calls getting in late all year from good teams. And there are things that I want to pick your brain as a former coach of, where did I prioritize? Or I came out of a game, we had 3 delay of games. When I met with the staff on Sunday or Saturday morning, what did I say to fix it?
Here's some questions. Are teams trying to be too perfect? Right? We talked about that. Like looking for the perfect play.
And I think the check with me, right, that's come in vogue the last 10 years.
Well, check with
is
me.
a part of that, right? Like check, let's see what they're in. Let's pick the play. You're running out of time.
And look, there's no shot clock in the corner, right? There's no play clock, like the play clock in the corner that's ticking down so you can all have an idea what's going on. The old rule was whistle blew 25 seconds. Now it's 40 from the end of the play. So it's basically the same. But to check with me, to your point, like I'm trying to see what defense, are they too high, one high, are they bringing pressure?
Yeah.
Are we calling a fake cadence to see if they're bringing pressure? I mean, a lot of this stuff, the colleges do it. We all go to clinics. We all go to see the pros do it. But those guys are spending, not only are they spending 12, 15 hours a week on the field with each other, they're spending 15 to 20 hours a week in the classroom. We don't have that in high school.
Well, at the high school level, then, is the question, the more and more you see of this, should the play clock be longer?
No. What it should be is keep it simple, stupid. As KISS. As, look, when in doubt, my dad sent in drive 2. Fake here. Now, he had Todd McNair running, or Timmy Loper, or Mikey Loper, or Dwight Hicks in the 70s. Rod, the 84 backfield was Timmy Loper, right? A Savarian. Todd McNair was just a baby sophomore who ended up going to Temple. Oh, and by the way, both ends were Greg Mark and Dave Griggs.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, my point.
But, I mean, it's something that as the playoffs wind down, or we get to that time of the year, it's got to get under. It's got to be It's got to be more systematic for teams because you cannot end up in long distance situations because the coaches couldn't get the play call.
No,
that's a problem.
They're drive killers. They're drive killers, and when you're first and 15, second, you add the 5 on.
Yes, this isn't pro football. And Coach Ab, he's given some instances here, our guy up at West Orange, about what might happen, and I understand that, but,
But is this time period, earlier on we were talking about, is it too early for them to start playing?
Well, that's
Will they be ready, right? Right now, some teams are on their 5th game.
Yeah, and some are not.
But they're still making some of the early season first, second game mistakes.
Right.
It's not just any particular. I'm talking about the better teams that we watch in South Jersey are still making these early mistakes. And
the onus is likely on the kids as well as the coaches for not maybe knowing the play. No coach is ever going to say, well, the kid didn't know the play.
No.
So it's which is good. This should never be on that. But
that's the thing too.
In conjunction.
People, when I go to these games sometimes, wherever I go, wherever I'm at, they're like, well, don't you think we should have? I'm like, look, you don't know. Oh, they shouldn't have called that timeout. This isn't the NFL.
Right.
Like Johnny might have just forgot where to line up, and they got to, he's over there, and we only have 10 on the field. And you're blowing a timeout because you're dealing with a 16-year-old that, like we said, his girlfriend may have broke up with him at lunch.
Yeah.
So, different things. But like Rod, are coaches trying to do too much in that check with me world of trying to call plays, getting late in the play clock, right? Like, what is the defense? Listen, the defenses that show everything late cause the most problems. You start with too high, drop early, come back late, show pressure late. Because now you can't, if you just come out vanilla too high, or if you're a 1 high, you could be a 4-4 team, 1 high. Now the quarterback's like, what are they doing?
if they roll down, yeah.
And if you're a defensive coach, you should show. If you can do it, you should show late.
Show late.
Because
show late. Or bluff early. Yeah. Show late or bluff early. I mean, there's things you can do defensively.
Yeah. So here's a question that I had. The question is, are we seeing a big turnover with the coaches? We've had, 17 new coaches?
We've seen, probably 40 in the last few years.
So that's question number one. Could that be part of it? And question two is, have we been in a time period where it's been so much turnover for players? I mean, we're not used to, this is the first year that Timber Creek is without a Leary in 8 years.
No, you're right.
So,
you're right.
I'm just using them as an example, but is the turnover a lot in South Jersey at one time where that's causing a lot of this?
Right. I mean, we know the RPO stuff's in vogue, right? And it all looks fine on a whiteboard. We can draw it up. The X's. We always say whoever has the chalk last wins, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But being able to run that RPO system, man, Jalen Hurts. Newsflash, that guy is a freak, and he's been a freak forever, and he's getting freakier, right? And what he does, Tommy says to me, I'm watching a game and watched the Eagles the other day, and he goes, Dad, I thought he handed off the ball. I go, Tommy, that might not even be an RPO. He just might be that good of that play action fake. But these guys, the timing they get to do this stuff, all this time, to spend perfecting their craft.
Another thing that we've seen change a lot is, and this is a big umbrella statement. My mom says this is a big soapbox. It is, Mom.
Right. I was positive this is Trible. And I was positive, and then here.
I'm bringing the negativities with. We saw in vogue for a while tempo. Mm-hmm. Get up and snap it. Misalignment, boom, big plays, right? Mm-hmm. That was it. Chip brought it to college. It trickled down to high school. This was boom, 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 boom. Now you see things like, and I'm not translating this back to high school, but the guy who is really everybody's picking his brain is McVay. He's not a tempo guy, right?
McVay's running,
but what I'm saying, Mac, is
high school.
You don't have delay a game. You don't have delay a game when it's go, go, go. You're trying to get a snap off 15 seconds after the ball snap.
Right.
So you don't have delay games. You don't have sit around and waits. You have, this is what we're doing. put in cue cards, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's the whole point is speed. And now you don't see that as much at the high school. I don't see a lot of tempo.
No.
It's slowed down.
I think it's because of the turnover. I think because of the coaching turnover. Like some schools, when Coach talked about playing at the bowl, right? You knew you were getting a dose of Jonathan Lovett. Like it didn't matter what the play call, what I was doing defense. Like
if you didn't stop Lovett, you got long day.
Right.
Long
so
day.
You knew there were staple plays.
Right.
And I think a lot of schools are trying to figure out who they are and what are they good at.
But I don't want to. I'm not like. Are coaches overthinking? Well, they think we're going to do this, so we do this. Like we got like.
That's what I think.
We look at like we want to run. When I was coaching, we want to run power.
Power, yes. Yeah, the power, yes.
And when we put power in, when I got to Lenape, we were going to get that was like we're getting power, and we would squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it till we got it. Mm-hmm. And if any one of our linemen walked off the field and said, we can't get power tonight, we were getting on the bus. Mm-hmm. Now, so you have Clyde Folsom, buck sweep, Sacco, buck sweep trap. If they got buck sweep and trap, everybody in the country knew what they were going to run. Right. Here comes buck sweep. Stop it. Right? I'm not saying we were perfect at running power, but you have to embrace something that you do.
Your staples.
You got to have your staple. You have your staple. And then we got, we evolved. You ran power out of gun. There were people that came up to me and said, Mac, you're just running the same crap out of gun. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We're still doing the same stuff up front. Coach Folsom, we could mention 10 other guys. They know what they want to do, and they do it, and they sit there. I'll go back to Shawnee R line on the 84 team, right? Drive 2, drive 3. Pennsauken High was going to say, look, this is what we're going to do. You got to stop us.
Well, and I think, too, identity is...
Different era of football,
when you've coached under guys for as long as you have in before times, right? And you become a head coach at age 38, 45, whatever. You're going to do what you were taught and what you know. This is our base. This is what we're going to get, right? Now, we've got head coaches that are 24, 25, 26, 27 years old. Do you think they've been in a place long enough to learn this is exactly what we're going to do? This is our identity? Nothing against them, but the culture has changed. I mean, there's young coaches. They're figuring it out as well.
But they're watching, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but they're watching some things that maybe their team just can't do. And that's a whole different animal. We could go on. Look, man, Fleming's going to get the ball for Lenape. Right. and he's going to run it hard. And Jamel Mace and Peterson and Joey Papa at Shawnee. I mean,
Mark, you made me laugh because I'm thinking about when I was a young coach coming from college. I came from a 4-wide system. So when I came in teaching 8th graders, guys get ready to go to 9th grade, I'm trying to teach them spread. And Coach Orlando is like my older mentor. Mind you, I had Quanzel Lambert at running back at the time. He walks up to me and he looks at me and he says, run the ball. Don't throw it again, run the ball. Yeah. And we got our first win that night. But sometimes you need people in your ear to tell you to do what you know you should do, but you're just trying to stick to what is the new flavor. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Hey, we're playing Woodrow Wilson in 2016 in a playoff game. It's in the semis, first round, and it's halftime. We're the number 1 seed, and we're trailing. And Wash grabs me and goes, "Yo, let's run the runs, right? Like the saving line. Let's run the runs." And I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's where you get to play action, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and the bottom line is, however you're going to do it, coaches, whatever you're going to do, get the play call in on time with regularity, because this is, I don't want to see some team in the state championship game lose a shot at winning it because they're at 3rd and 12 instead of 3rd and 7, and they can't throw the ball in the wind because they didn't get a play call in. Like, come on. And Ryan, I did get the walking taco.
great to say.
Extra time to finish it. I had 2 of them. That's right, 2 walking tacos at Winslow. We did get a really helpful note that actually matters in this comment section from Amber, who said that the Cedar Creek St. Joe game has been moved to 2 p.m. on Friday due to the storm. So 2 p.m. on Friday at Cedar Creek and St. Joe.
They got lights at the creek? No. Do they?
I don't think so, no.
That's why they're playing at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. on Friday.
Yes.
So they're going to let the kids out of school early, hopefully?
She said
Man,
all the students will be there.
That should be
There
the
you
best
go.
game. I want to be there. I want to film that.
Right?
I like it down there.
All right. We were on the box long enough. Tom, you say they won't be in the state championship games. I think you'd be surprised.
He's seen them all, Tom. He knows. He sees all these games.
I'll be right. We'll be right back after this. We still have to preview the game of the week and give the best 11 rankings, which we're going to have to do quickly. So sit tight and share this out.
And it's a school night.
And it's a school night. We'll be back soon, right after this.
The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by TurnersvilleJeep.com on Route 42 in Turnersville. Turnersville Jeep is proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. TurnersvilleJeep.com has a huge inventory of Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodges, and Ram trucks, all brand new. They also have a ton of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. Drive a little and save a lot at TurnersvilleJeep.com. They're located on Route 42 in Turnersville, or visit TurnersvilleJeep.com. The show is also sponsored by the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. In less than 2 years, the association has created the Battle at the Beach and has dedicated itself to helping others. The association has donated more than $20,000 to date to provide scholarships and help those in need. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at Sra Home Products, who also sponsor the show. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They have built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had the opportunity to be around owner Mike Fody, and I have nothing but the best things to say about Mike and his crew. SRA is a gold-accredited member of the Better Business Bureau under the Elite Provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up numerous Best of South Jersey awards in the past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Ricky Moriello at Remax Community. If you or someone you know is looking for real estate in South Jersey, find Ricky and reach out to him. He's helped us bring this show to you each week for the last couple of years. We can't be more grateful for that. He knows where to find your real estate. Give him a ring at 609-352-9476. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Kia and Cherry Hill Mitsubishi on Route 70. If you want to talk about top-notch selection and service that's the best around, take your car to either of these dealerships. You won't be disappointed. And while you're there, you could probably talk some ball too. These guys love South Jersey football. Get over to Cherry Hill Kia or Cherry Hill Mitsubishi today.
We're back, South Jersey football fans, with the preview for TurnersvilleJeep.com. Game of the week. Remember, if you're at this game and you take a selfie, you get a free oil change for a week. You get a week to get a free oil change at TurnersvilleJeep.com. Free oil change.
That's good.
I think it's a good deal.
Right. Pay $3, take a picture, get a X amount oil change.
Game of the week is at noon on Saturday on Walnut Street in Salem City. The Rams, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They lost once to Camden High in a back-and-forth game at Rutgers. They brought a lot back off of last year's championship team. But, you know, a team that beat them last year was their rival, Woodstown. And these two teams played on Thanksgiving, but not this year. They are playing Saturday. It will be the 113th meeting between the schools. The series dates back to 1911. That's an awful lot of bad blood. Salem holds the lead in the series, 64-38-10. Mac, huge rivalry. Woodstown, right now, these are the 2 top teams in South Group 1 in terms of the PowerPoints and the seedings and all this stuff.
Yes.
Big game. We know what Woodstown wants to do. They want to run the ball. James Hill, he is the guy. Max Webb can make some plays as well. They know how to get it done in that way, shape, or form. Salem on the other side, when you look at Ja'Kai Coates, Selby,
Ja'Kai Coates.
Bell, Ja'Kai Coates again. They're good up front with Pittman. They're good on the line with the Smiths, or with Amari Smith. This is about as big as it gets for a game between two groups, for a regular season game.
Well, right, and you were about to say Group 1 football, but this doesn't look like Group 1 football, like, as you would think, as what your dad's Group 1 football. This is Salem does not look like a Group 1 football team. Woodstown's not going to play like a Group 1 football team. This is going to be can I use the word Donnybrook?
Yeah. And somebody passed this along to me that there should be a phrase that, you know how they say Saturday is for the boys? Is that what they say, Rod? Something like that? I think it should be Friday is for the boys and Saturday is for Group 1 football.
Daytime.
That's what Saturday is about. Yeah. No offense to Eastside or Haddon Heights or Cedar Creek, but Saturday is Group 1 ball, baby.
Right.
Salem and Woodstown. I'm excited. I'm always excited to go to Walnut Street, but our guy, Mr. Mulherin at Salem, who's a friend of the program and always supports us, he's part of the reason we have this beautiful blue helmet back here, went to Woodstown and now is very much a Ram. So a big day for him as well. Look forward to seeing him.
Mixed emotions, and it's going to be it should be a good game. It usually is. It has been the last.
How about meaningful, right? Not Turkey Day. You take this out of Turkey Day, that officially is pretty much the end of Turkey Day. If this game's not played, then,
meaningful because
but it matters for the playoffs.
Well, the winner's going to be the 1 seed in the South,
yes,
at their home, and probably the other team's going to be the 2 seed overall, the 1 seed in the.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Because Woodbury still gets to play both these teams the next couple of weeks. So
we can't talk playoffs already.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. My head would explode, Rod.
Not yet. So that's going to be the game of the week. Again, turnersvillejeep.com. Take a selfie at that Salem-Woodstown game, and for a week you can cash that thing in for free oil change at Turnersville Jeep. Thank you again for your sponsorship, Turnersville Jeep. Let's get to the best 11 rankings. Things shuffled up a little bit here, Mac. We had two losses that really shook things up from the previous team. So let's start with number 11. We have Pennsauken in there, one of the 8 undefeated teams.
Yeah, and they're probably thinking they should be a little bit higher on the numbers, but they have to, they have to keep doing what they're doing. And, eventually, I think they possibly could run the table, right, in the regular season?
Yeah, maybe. The other team that's right there as well, I would say, is Timber Creek. I looked at them as kind of 1A, 1B here.
Right. Flipped it and went to Sauken. Go figure.
I think you went with Sauken, if
That's what I mean.
can believe
well,
that.
Go figure.
Sauken at number 11. At number 10, Shawnee, losers of 2 consecutive games, close games. I think Winslow is far better than a 1-2 team, than most 1-2 teams. Shawnee?
Yeah, lost to Winslow, and a week before lost to Cherokee. As we said, they're just playing week in and week out. Top teams.
Number 9 is Winslow, who beat Shawnee on Saturday night. Winslow at number 9 with the best walking taco in
Congrats to
the
Coach
universe.
Belton. First win.
First win for Coach Belton, absolutely. Congratulations. Number 8, Haddonfield. Haddonfield took care of Woodbury last week. They get West Defford on the road this week in a big rivalry matchup. And then next week, a really big one, Camden High comes to town. Number 7, Holy Spirit, holy cow. Rolled St. Augustine last week by score, 3 touchdowns. Again, didn't see that coming. 4-1 right now. Burns slinging it around for Charlie.
Yeah, and Roman's catching it.
Roman's catching it.
And running it.
The team that beat Holy Spirit is St. Joe. They're at number 6. They just continue to win, find ways to get it done, and Coach Sacco's last year's head coach for St. Joe. Number 6. Number 5, Cherokee. The Chiefs were off last week.
Tough coming off. I don't love the buys. I like
Chiefs play Williamstown this week.
Yeah, when you've been like they start off with a couple losses, Cherokee, and then now they're not going to say this, but probably didn't want the bye at the time because they were starting to get on a roll a little bit. But Willie's had some troubles as well. So, but again, tough. Where's that? Is it at the Bowl or is it Willie?
Not sure. One thing I know for sure is Cherokee is guaranteed to host the state semifinal. We just don't know if they're going to be playing in it. Those games of the Bowl, you talk about atmosphere. How cool is that going to be?
If you're playing in it.
Or covering it.
They're covering it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Anybody, community, South Jersey football fans. It's awesome.
Cherokee's a number 5. Number 4 is the team I'm going to see on Saturday in that big Donnybrook, as you call it, Mac. Salem Rams at number 4.
Yeah, Salem wants to chomp at everybody, but you got to keep them behind.
It's at Williamstown, that game.
A little different, right? All right. They lost to Lenape a couple weeks ago.
Dean, our guy, our Holy Spirit guy, says Spirit beat 5 and 6. Spirit did beat Cherokee. They didn't beat St. Joe, Dean. So, you get mixed up. We got these, beat this, beat that.
Right. Cherokee did lose to Spirit.
Yes.
So is Cherokee 7? But right? They beat.
No, I like them at 5. We'll see how it irons out here. Like I said, you can't put Spirit above Joe's. It's tough. 4 is Salem. 3 is Camden. They were off last week. They go to Heights on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Delsey is number 2, still unbeaten. And Millville is number 1. Be sure to bring out the rain gear this weekend. Our thoughts are also, of course, with the hurricane hitting Florida.
Going up the West Coast. Like a West Coast of Florida.
The West, it's not going that far.
They usually come in through Miami, hence that. But this one's coming in through the Tampa side, which usually doesn't happen. Right. And thoughts and prayers out to our friends at Roxborough.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, horrible thing. So, no place for it in high school sports, football, communities, anywhere.
Coach Ab, the hat's not coming to North Jersey this week. The hat will be at Paul to 6 Friday night. Thank you for all who voted in the poll. It was fun. Appreciate all the comments. And, of course, the support of these programs. It's a big deal. Thank you all for watching again this week. Remember, again, bring your rain gear. Bring your rain gear.
Bring your rain gear. Hey, Rod, maybe you have to run the ball.
Runs.
The runs. We will be back Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with my Hats Off podcast with Rod. We'll talk about the action that happened in some soggy conditions. And then, Rod, I got tickets to the Birds, so we might have to make this. We got to be on time, not like today.
I got you.
Who got on the soapbox today?
Yeah, it's my fault. My fault. I write the
Mark
script.
said, enough of this nice guy stuff.
Enough of this nice guy. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Enjoy the games this weekend. Be safe, everybody. If you're at Winslow, Ocean City fans, be sure to grab one of those walking tacos, maybe 2. Mac, see you here again next Wednesday night, 7 p.m.
Go Birds.